Hey there everybody, just doing a review for this LANPWR 12 volt 6 amp hour deep cycle lithium iron phosphate battery. A really tiny battery right here. Just taking a look at the box that the battery comes in. A really simple box right over here, just gives you a few cautions. And that's really about it. In the box you get the battery, of course, and the manual. In terms of the watt hour capacity, this battery does have a 76.8 watt hour capacity. It does have a specifications panel right inside. Typical capacity, 76.8 amp hours. The max charge current, 6 amps. Pulse current, 18 amps. And yeah, it's just all right there in case you wanted to take a closer look at it before you buy the battery, or if you're wondering about the specifications for it. I mean, once again, this is a tiny battery in comparison to the 50 amp hour and 100 amp hour deep cycle batteries that I've reviewed on this channel. It was just really surprising to see that this is actually sold. I didn't know 6 amp hour batteries was a thing until now, until this company actually sent me one. But yeah, this is really interesting. I gotta say, like, I'm intrigued that there's actually a market for people that actually use these type of small mini batteries, and that's great. Honestly, deep cycle lithium iron phosphate batteries versus lead acid batteries, you would want to go with this one because of that lithium iron phosphate. Of course, there are so many other brands that probably sell these type of 6 amp hour batteries, but lithium iron phosphate ones are going to be the way to go if you're going with a mini battery like this. And just taking a look at the battery, just more cautions right there. And in terms of the size, it does have a 5.9 inch by 2.4 by 3.7 inch form factor, and it weighs about like 1.7 pounds. I think that's what it said on their Amazon page. So I mean, this is going to be really easy to take anywhere. It does have the F2 terminals over at the top right over here, positive, negative. And let's just go ahead and do a battery capacity test to see how much capacity I can actually pull from this LANPWR battery. And I will be testing it out with a smaller inverter this time around because I got this Baseus 300 watt pure sine wave inverter off of Amazon because I didn't want to use the Renogy inverter because I honestly don't know how I would connect the 2000 watt Renogy inverter to this type of small battery. So this is why I got the Baseus inverter right over here. It's going to be a lot easier to use with this mini battery right here. And so yeah, let's just get to doing a battery capacity test to see the efficiency, and then we're going to move on to actually using it with this inverter, and let's just see how it performs. Honestly, let's get to it. Alright you guys, so just doing a battery capacity test for this LANPWR 12 volt 6 amp hour battery. And so when I connected this load tester, it automatically set to 12.6 volts and 4.6 amps. And I just left it like that. I'm just going to run the capacity test just like this until the load tester turns off and the battery capacity is at 0%. And just a reminder that this battery does have a 76.8 watt hour capacity and 6 amp hours right there as well. And usually with these type of load tests, the battery capacity usually reaches a 100% efficiency, or at least close to a 100% efficiency. And yeah, I'm just going to be right back once the load tester turns off to see how much capacity we're able to pull from this battery. Alright you guys, so after about an hour and 13 minutes, the load tester did turn off and the battery capacity is at 0% for this LANPWR battery. And so yeah, what I ended up with was a 5.4 amp hour reading and a 66 watt hour reading. And so yeah, for the amp hour reading, that's basically a 90% efficiency rating right there. For the watt hour reading, 66 watt hours, this battery does have a 76.8 watt hour capacity. And so that gave us about a 86% efficiency rating on the watt hour side. Not too sure what happened on the watt hour side. For the amp hours, it got really close to that 6 amp hour reading for the LANPWR battery. But for the watt hours, we didn't achieve close to 100% efficiency. I'm not too sure why. I'm pretty sure that might have been because of the amperage being too low or the voltage being too low. Maybe I didn't have that set correctly. But yeah, that's the results for the capacity test for this 12 volt 6 amp hour LANPWR battery. And yeah, there we go. Alright you guys, so just back with the LANPWR battery, I am doing a general AC capacity test and also a general AC inverter test with this battery by using this Baseus 300 watt inverter. I am using this electricity monitor that's going to be tracking the watt hours. This crock pot is currently set to its low setting that has a 58 watt output, I believe. The wattage output is shown on this screen right over here. Yeah, a 58 watt output going on right here. So I think this battery should be able to handle that continuously until the battery capacity is fully depleted. But yeah, we'll see. I'm just going to let it run until the crock pot isn't receiving any more power and just turns off. And I'll be right back to see how much capacity we can pull out by using an inverter with this LANPWR battery. Alright guys, so I did deplete the capacity of the LANPWR battery about down to 0% because the inverter stopped powering the crock pot. And so what I ended up getting was a 50 watt hour reading, as you can see right there. And that gives us about a 65% efficiency rating, by using an inverter with this LANPWR battery. I don't know if like smaller batteries like this have worse efficiency when it comes to their capacity, because in comparison to the 50 amp hour and 100 amp hour batteries that I've reviewed, this one does have a worse efficiency. I don't know if it's because like it has a small capacity and the small form factor has to do with it, but this is what I ended up getting. But you know what, like this is still pretty cool in my opinion, being able to use this battery with a tiny inverter like this one. It was just really cool to see, being able to power a 55 watt crock pot. I'm also pretty sure I could power like this crock pot at high. Let me go ahead and test that out actually in this review. Let me just get the battery charged up back to full power, and then I'm going to come back and power this crock pot again, but at its high setting, because I did power it at low. But yeah, let's just go ahead and do another test with the crock pot at high, and yeah, I'll be right back. Alright you guys, so just back with the LANPWR 6 amp hour battery. I do have a different connection method going on right here. I've got these two positive and negative small cables connected to the main cables for the inverter, simply because it's easier for me to connect the inverter to the battery, because using these F2 terminals to connect these clamps to is really difficult for me, and it was just really frustrating. So I just I just used this solution instead. But hopefully it should not interfere with this test that I've got going on. I mean, so yeah, with this test, I'm just going to be setting the crock pot at high. I'm just going to see how long it runs. Let me grab my phone to set a timer. All right, so I got my phone. Stopwatch is ready to go. I'm going to be setting the crock pot to high, and that should give us about a 90 watt output. And oh, as you can hear, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but the fan for the inverter has turned on. I think there should be too much for the battery to handle, but you know what? We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm just gonna. Oh, oops. There we go. The timer. Forgot about the timer. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna have it run, and I'm gonna come back once it turns off to see how long I'm able to run a crock pot at high at about 90 watts. And you know what? This is a lot for the battery to handle, but I just want to see what it's capable of, and to see how much power I can actually pull out from it. And also, I think I did. Yeah, I have reset the kilowatt hour meter on this monitor, so we'll see how much we can pull out as well until the battery is fully depleted. Well, that is if it's able to fully deplete, unless the battery automatically just shuts off supplying power to the inverter. And yeah, I'll be right back once this test is over to see what the results are. Alright you guys, so we have reached the 29-minute mark, and the crock pot is still being powered. Honestly, I'm surprised. I thought the battery would have like automatically shut down and stopped supplying power to the inverter, but we're still going at 90 watts of output power. Yeah, and I'll just be right back once this test is fully done. I think we're just gonna end up draining the battery capacity of this LANPWR battery down to 0% again, because we're currently at 40 watt hours. And so yeah, I'll be right back with an update. Alright you guys, so just back with the LANPWR battery. It is fully depleted of its capacity, and this is about a day later because I didn't have time to finish filming the same day. But anyways, I was able to get a 35-minute runtime with the crockpot being run at high at about 90 watts of power output, and I was able to get the same 50 watt hours from the LANPWR battery. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. A 35-minute runtime and 90 watts of power usage. This LANPWR battery kept chugging along. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to automatically just stop supplying power to the inverter and the crockpot was going to shut off, but that's not what happened. It was the same exact thing that happened with the crockpot at low. It just continuously kept being powered until the capacity of the LANPWR battery was fully depleted. I mean, in this case, I am able to power this inverter at least to power this electricity monitor, because you know it's just a really low wattage appliance, basically pulling like no power at all. But anyways, that's pretty cool to see. Of course, you wouldn't use this 6 amp hour battery to power a 50 watt or 90 watt appliance. Mini batteries like this are meant to be powering like low wattage appliances like a LED light. You know, something like this Aki lamp that might have a 5 watt, 10 watt power usage is going to last for a few hours using this mini battery like this. And so yeah, that's mainly what it's for. All right, guys, that is a review for the 12 volt 6 amp hour lithium iron phosphate LANPWR battery. I had a pretty cool time reviewing this battery. You know, a mini battery. Of course, it's not meant for powering high wattage appliances at all. You know, if you're going to be powering appliances from an inverter or even a direct connection, you're going to be looking at a a 5 watt or 10 watt power usage if you want a couple of hours of usage time, that is. When it came to the battery efficiency, however, I mean, it did fall a little short. I'm not too sure if batteries like this just have poor efficiencies overall, but that's what I ran into in my review. And down in the description below, I will have a link to the product page as well as a link to the review article in case you want to read a review for this battery. I will eventually have that down in the description, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.